Hey, hey guys, doesn't life hurt sometimes, like all the time? Like the first noble truth presented by the Lord Buddha. It's kind of like you're walking around, man, and you're surrounded by cacti all the time, and you try to reach somewhere and touch somebody's face, stroke their face, of course, with consent, but your hand really doesn't even brush against the needle. It hits it directly. And then what are you going to do then? It's just like building some sort of a thing, like some sort of an empire of hurt, of hurtiness, being hurt all the time. Like it's your specialty, like you got a PhD in being hurt. Uh, but then I guess we move on to sort of touch something gentle and soft, trying to do something like that. That's what we do. We have to do it. We have to do it, friends. I was thinking about tracksuits and like why Russian kind of different Russian trash wears it, different kind of asocial pieces of shit. Anyway, and I kind of thought, why is this? And then it came to me, it's the stripes. There's something very militaristic about it, like like you have some sort of an authority, or there is some sort of a point, some sort of a mission, like to ask you for a ruble or something. It's a uniform if you have the matching set. You might be wondering why I'm holding also a um, a towel, a towel in my left hand. Um, the truth of the matter is, this is actually where my vaping device is. It's sitting there like a baby, and I think that the idea here is to reduce the sound when I vape, so I can vape more. But I'm not sure if this is, I mean, if the reduction is really meaningful. It feels meaningful, but then I have to really bury my face into this towel. My stepbrother gave me this towel. He used to wash his bowls with it, so now I have it to to sort of reduce the sound impact on of vaping on my microphone. Oh, fucking Gerard, haven't seen you in forever. I'm sure you're watching the same right wing shit that I do about like anyway, certain issues in the world. My friends, okay. All right. The other thing that's cool with vaping devices recently, and I'll stop about it, but recently I've discovered juice that really has lower nicotine intake, because this one, the one I'm vaping on now, has like 25 whatever milligrams, whatever the fuck it is, which is huge. You're just supposed to once in a while like take a hit and then like chill for at least 10 minutes or 5 minutes. You're not supposed to vape it all the fucking time. And so there's huge amounts of nicotine circling through me. And for the longest time, I wanted to have less nicotine. I wanted to have these juices, but they weren't on offer, and now they are. So once I get my 6 milligram, whatever the fuck, nicotine juice instead of 25, it's going to be a new life for me, because it happens to be that nicotine is a diuretic, among other things. It has been a long time. It's been a long time since I experienced some things. All right. Okay, I'm sorry. How about that internet dating? Well, actually, before we get to that, since since my last stream, I actually had my birthday. Um, and this birthday was celebrated by my mother getting me Indian food, and later in the week, a walk with my friend around like a shitty little mall with different, like with a Dollar Tree store. and also like messages from my dad, who's like super excited about my birthdays for some reason, and he like sent me a little sketch that he had ordered of me, um, like a little caricature or something that some Russian people have done, and it was all very sweet. But I just prefer to just glide over it and not think about it too much. Um, because it's like, imagine you had a time machine and it just went in one direction, and that's forward. Like, it's kind of, I was thinking about useless time machines in the context of this. Like, imagine you had a time machine and it would take you backward to like colonial times in America, but it would just make you progressively more and more racist. And by the time you got there, you just fucking be a racist. Anyway, so I have like a time machine like that, except it takes me forward in time without me experiencing time, just kind of floating through time. And like, I'm shocked by how old I am. I'm genuinely am shocked, because if you go and socialize with people, there's a sense of action. Like, time exists in relation to other people in many ways, to honeys, to friends who come and go. But in my case, like, if you're alone all the time, then you don't have that relationship to others. And so you really don't have a relationship to time in the same way. And like, I'm a wizard without magical powers, except my magical powers transport myself into mid 30s. Um, so we'll see. So that was one thing that happened. I just glided through that shit like I do through everything else. Um, but of course, the one thing that I'm doing is courting honeys on OkCupid today primarily. This has become my place to dwell and to look for company. So in my profile, it states pretty openly that I currently live with my parents and that I have bipolar disorder, really like almost on the second line. And I really have created, because there's no other resource I have in courting women, aside from frankly like moping around and writing, hopefully in a smooth, well articulated manner, and using this strategy. Actually, like, I have 30 likes on there. Now, I'm sure many of them are bots, but I think that's some sort of an achievement. And I swiped left on all of these ladies, I'm sure, because they have like a mole in the wrong place, or because of my like various preferences that I'm not entitled to. But still, that's some sort of encouragement towards something. Um, uh, the other question about interacting with babes is, how do you express yourself? There is, I mean, I guess you could say something and make a compliment, like write some stuff and make a compliment. I think that's, people like compliments unless you have nothing else. I think they do. Should they? Um, like, you're clean and articulate is one that I use a lot. Um, so that's one approach, but another approach is just say, hey, fuck it, I'm just gonna ramble and have a free kind of spirit. And in the spirit of this, like, one girl who was like, a very pretty girl, and uh, attractive in other ways, seemed to be clever. She replied to me and asked me for my zodiac sign, to which I replied in capital letters, I am the zodiac. I wrote some other stuff on there, but then I got blocked. So simultaneously, I mocked her belief in astrology, and also implied a connection with a serial killer. Now, a female patron has, after I've reviewed the story on my Patreon stream, has advised me that sometimes the women could be creeped out by this. And this has not like thoroughly occurred to me, because of course I wouldn't see myself as a creep, and it just seems like it's obviously a joke, but that's not obvious. So I have to adjust my strategy, and I don't know. I think people like compliments, presumably. I don't even know what to say. It's always so minimalistic on there, what people do. Um, so I don't know. I guess, hey, hey there, something like that. I've also been feeling some guilt. I've been feeling some guilt about ladies on there who are not conventionally attractive. And so sometimes I really go in depth and read their profile. And there was a lady with cerebral palsy in a wheelchair, and it almost seemed like she had to hide from her parents that she set up her profile because it was very kind of seemed very like cry of the soul type of a profile, and it said like something along the lines, "I just want to be loved and cuddled," and that was really heartbreaking. So I do find the time to experience the misery of others on there, aside from just you know swiping left. So this brings me to the most bizarre experience I had in my career, in my sad career of online dating. And so this initiated when I saw a profile of a Japanese lady who was getting an education in in Ohio. So this already was suspicious to me at the start, but usually when you have a bot, you have like very hot and sexually provocative pictures, and they are combined with um, with some text like "I want um, a good time, not a long time," or some shit like that, or "I like to have fun," and things like that. Combined with very pretty pictures of a lady. Um, So in this case, the only pictures that were there were like basically what you're seeing now, like a portrait type pictures, and her profile was completely filled out with seemingly rational kind of cute, what's intelligent things to say. So I was pretty sure this was not a bot. I mean, uh, so I continued with this, and I liked her. And I don't remember even if I started typing a message to her or not, or whether I just was gonna swipe and continue. But she liked me in return, which to me was again kind of suspicious because it like happened immediately, meaning that she has membership there, which costs for some reason on OkCupid like $30 a month. So it's kind of unrealistic that a woman would want kind of membership on that fucking site. Uh, that she would need it considering the amount of messages they get. So that was weird, but I guess I was just persevered. But again, I wasn't that horny because all I saw was this kind of, and she looked all right. But I mean, she looked like a photogenic lady, but I didn't have some grand plans. I wasn't like slowly falling in love with her, or, um, there is a kind of a titillation and a kind of a sense of possibility when you're talking to a lady. So we've been talking for a couple of hours. Now she wouldn't respond like I wouldn't respond right away, neither would she, and like I stay up late at night. So I was just doing other things. I took a shower. I'm not thinking about her. I was just reading some shit on my phone, whatever. Um, so this kind of continued in this casual fashion for a couple of hours. And she seemed like a cool person. Again, it was weird that she would talk to me like at night. And I even asked her about it, and she said, "Yeah, I just fucking stay up." So it doesn't really matter too much. You're trying to be cute and funny and all that stuff. So that's kind of what I was doing. But, I wasn't like over invested in it. But, you do get somewhat invested. So then suddenly I received a message. And this is what it had. Okay, so this is just her response to my cute message here. But this is the actual next one. Let's see if I can zoom in on this. All right. Hello. This account has been an experiment to test the fetishization, I'm sorry, you see I can't read, of Asian women. Fortunately, you have passed the test and seem to be very true to this character. Like, what fucking character? What character? You seem like a genuinely good guy. You deserve to meet someone who loves you. Seriously, I hope and pray that you have the best life. You deserve it. Now, my friends, there are certain politically incorrect terms that I don't endorse that are around. Terms like dragon chaser or yellow fever, and I have been acquitted of that. And here I replied, not sure what to say, which was true. Not exactly ethical. Be well. So it's hard to describe exactly what I felt at that moment, because it is a bizarre situation. Like, it's not something you exactly have a template as to how to respond to. But there are certain weird aspects of it, like this almost like pity, and almost like notes of like empathy and apology here. You deserve to meet someone who loves you. Seriously, I hope and pray that you have the best life. You deserve it. Like, it's like, thanks. Thank you. Yeah, so this really, it's not so much that I was disappointed in the loss of this prospective lady, because that I didn't care about that. But there was just a sense of, like, I guess, being played, being pitied, and being a part of some cosmic joke, considering like how much like I don't know what to say, like how much like different relationships I had with ladies that were there but not there, something like that. I don't even know how to explain. Just this some sort of like, I didn't get like a normal bot that wanted some money off of me. I got a bot, some sort of a strange person with whom I had a strange discussion, a kind of somewhat of a, I wouldn't say tender, but some sort of a discussion, after which it turns out to be a weird experiment. It's so very kind of surreal, and I'd prefer not to be involved in it. So that sort of left a weird taste. I mean, it's just been like, I've been reflecting on this for a past couple of days, and it's just been something very strange to experience. And I can't exactly like pinpoint as to why, because it's not, I wasn't invested in the persona of a Japanese college student here. There's something else, something to be figured out, some kind of archetypes. The pathos and the logos and the Legos have been disrupted here. some kind of a subtle melancholy has been born out of this. Oh no, $5 sucky sucky. I don't know. But I really feel bad in this situation. It's a good one. That's funny. Anyway, I really feel bad about like actual nerds, because you imagine some sort of a nerd that sits around and he watches anime, he feels alienated from the Midwestern life, he's just a loner, and maybe he has developed some sort of preoccupation with Japanese women as being salvation, like as being somebody who can like spirit them away to Japan, and they would be happy to like wire her $4,000, especially since specifically she's Japanese. And though it is a kind of a fetish, it is a tender fetish of like longing, as opposed to something defined by objectification of the body. So like I really feel for this dude who became part of this experiment, who got really invested and couldn't believe that he was actually talking with a Japanese girl. Yes, that's pretty cruel. I don't really understand. I guess I'm just gonna go and fucking blame female studies for this shit. Maybe undergraduate female studies. And I have also been subjected to another form of kind of verbal or written abuse in my direction. Now, recently, for some reason, my video about Mouthy Buddha, which is titled something like Mouthy Buddha is an idiot, or however, whatever constructive criticism was reflected in the title, for some reason it really took off, but not with people who are receptive to my idea. And so rather with the other group of people. And so I continuously get like every day, literally, some messages, some comments calling me an asshole, a piece of shit. And it's like, I just don't care. It doesn't bother me at all. But in this case, somebody decided to take more of a deep dive into this, and seemingly, I don't know, but it was somebody who made a comment on an unrelated video, who claimed to be a fan of mine, and said, you know, you should go back to making Jordan Peterson videos every week. You know, how nice it is to have mental illness as an excuse. So this doesn't sound like a fan of mine. I don't know what's going on there, but seems like a more kind of in-depth troll who decided to dig deep. Of course, you know, mental illness is a good excuse here for just sort of reading books about Buddhism and having a mood tracking app where I track my level of religiosity like it's something outside of my control, which it is. And all these kind of factoids, working as a driver. Yeah. So yeah, it's a good excuse for a lot of things, dude. If you can snatch an excuse like that. But anyway, I guess as far as like making Jordan Peterson videos every week is another kind of thing that I think was supposed to trigger me, because, you know, I have resisted this before, as far as like wanting to go out a bit from my range or whatever, you know. But I do want to say that in response to this, well, not directly in response to it, I am actually making a normal video, and it should be out sometime, but I am editing things. And before that, I started doing videos on characters that I progressively, the more I got into it, the more disgusted with them I became, even though I may have made videos about them before. But in this case, I have really grasped onto something, and I will not abandon this project. So hopefully this channel will eventually redeem itself a little bit. I will make my quota of making 3 videos a year, with at least 1 video in the beginning. Okay, friends. So um, there is sort of something I'd like to review right now. A certain offering by Carl Benjamin, because it kind of relates to that story of the Asian girl. Um, that other part of male nature, aside from fetishization and objectification of women, there is that kind of a longing, a longing of a simp, and this is what Carl decided to go after. So we're gonna look at Carl's video, and then we're gonna examine like the target of his aggression. I understand like many people are tired of Carl, and that's justifiable, but this video is short. It shouldn't take us too long to get through. I think it's insightful.
Let's talk about simping, because I see a lot of men simping online and a lot of people dealing with men simping online, and it's just insufferable to watch. Let's begin at the beginning. Simping is king shit. Well, that's what an E-thought would say, isn't it? I mean, notice the smile when this is being said. You know, like her income is reliant on you being a simp. That is, you working your job and then giving her money for appearing on a webcam. What are you paying for there? But this is not new. Women have expected resources from men from the dawn of time, since day zero. However, this is usually reciprocal. The expectation is that the man would have the sexual monopoly over the woman's reproductive processes, and then
And you know, guess who didn't gain the sexual monopoly over his woman's reproductive resources? And that's of course stepdad Carl. You know, raising the seed, the progeny of another man. You know, if we're playing by these hard evolutionary rules, Carl, then you know you're sort of behind the curve here.
four, that's not an exploitative relationship. The man is providing something, the woman is providing something, both parties are happy. However, in the case of simping and E-thots, well, you never get that payoff, do you? Um, it's incredibly easy to fool men into thinking that this could be the case. There are expectations within masculinity. For example, the man is supposed to provide for his wife and family, and it's these that are being exploited. The thought actually is so reliant on you feeling this way that there is an expectation on her part that you will want to satisfy her damsel in distress desires for money, because there are some men who love to serve women, and that is the reward for doing this, is her saying thank you, you're my savior, etc., etc. Obviously this is all confected, it's all an act, but don't be fooled by some of the more clever E-thots. For example,
You know, all of this really, like all these terms like simps and E-thots, it, it's like you involuntarily became like a card game, entered a card game with these like unfamiliar terms, and now like this very serious nerd is like lecturing you about what it means to be a man. So it is a kind of a hellish thing.
the girl who's saying I stalk all of your LinkedIn profiles, that was perceived by lots of people who are against simping to be some kind of creepy maneuver, but actually it's entirely to do with the parasocial relationship that is the simp and the ethos. That might sound creepy to someone who isn't a simp, but to a simp, that's music to their ears. Remember that she said, well, I notice a lot of you are engineers, men who are already in relationships and presumably want an attractive young mistress to spoil. This actually enhances the fantasy for them. The dream is that one day the ethot might actually take notice of them. There'll be something special about the simp that the ethot will pick out and validate. I mean, they have disposable income, obviously, if a lot of them are indeed engineers. This is a hobby for them. They feel invested. And the e-thought is making them feel that they're one step closer to the goal. Again, making them feel that this is not just a one-sided relationship, that the e-thought actually does care about those people, even though they clearly don't. So put simply, simping is not respectable. It is a vice. The desire to experience a feeling of importance to an attractive young woman through a quasi-romantic virtual courtship, it's entirely one-sided. It's simulated by the e-thought to play into the fantasy that the simp has.
Carl was really kind of almost advertising it like he knows the right language to sell this. So all of this was a reaction to one honey making a provocative statement. And so I don't know if you follow this shit, but this happened like months ago, and it really sent like shockwaves through this bunch of idiots like Carl who felt the need to like condemn her for kind of stating the obvious, I think. So I do actually have a video of her kind of saying that stuff. And I don't know, I'm kind of I became a fan of her precisely on account of her statements here.
It doesn't really matter how much money you make or how much money you have. That's really the thing, because I'm not asking you for a large financial contribution. If it costs $20 to sub, $20 is quite a bit of money. $20 is you can get a full meal for $20. And the difference of $20 and eating a meal is in that $20. Like, that's where it is. But a sub is $5. At maximum, in whatever your currency is, it's maybe $10. And it doesn't matter how broke you are. If you have time to watch Twitch, you have $10, truly. If you don't have $10, you probably don't have time to watch Twitch because you should be working. You should be trying to earn money. It's not a ton. It's not like a ton of money. So being like, I'm broke, I can't afford to sub, that doesn't really track. What you mean to say is, I'm so irresponsible with my money, I can't support the entertainment that I enjoy. That's what that is. I'm unemployed, so basically all my money goes to bills and food, or I would support you.
Like, what is fundamentally wrong with it's like, don't waste your time watching Twitch if you don't have any money. What is so wrong with this message? I ask you. It's always good, it's good when she talks tough like this to me, frankly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's $5. It's really like no one's gonna convince me that what I'm saying is so rude or so unacceptable or so outrageous. It just simply isn't. It's $5. It doesn't cost you that much to sub. And it's very, very wonderful because it allows streamers to continue supporting their communities with content. That's all.
All these stuffed toys don't come from nowhere. Somebody has to pay for these.
Oh my. So here we have some excellent 300 IQ comments from the Peanut Gallery. This conversation sucks. This is weird. Yikes. These are exquisite contributions to a very good conversation. And these people in chat who are making these comments do not appear as immature, childish cheapskates whatsoever. They're just sitting here masturbating as hard as they possibly can, as quietly as they can, because their parents are in the next room talking about how disappointed they are in them. And they're like, why would I ever pay for this when this slut's giving it away for free? You're right, buddy. You're right.
I really like her a lot. I've become like a fan of her. And frankly, I have to say, I feel that if she was watching the stream right now, for example, or if we were at like a mini golf course together, or if we just like work together and get to interact a lot, I really feel that. Anyway, Oh, yeah. I mean, it's like that's just kind of a vibe I get from her, and then she would like scold me for not making enough money, and I'd probably be into it. What a bunch of assholes.
Hi. You're here right now because you've seen a clip of me. And you're very angry about what I said in that clip. And you're justified.
Life today is just so stupid. Life is just so stupid. These dudes are like shocked by, by this. I guess, I'm kind of disappointed that the outfit has changed. But it's time for something different. It's time for something contained.
What I said was tone deaf, insensitive, and stupid. And I recognize that. I recognize that there is no context that I can give that would excuse what I said. So I won't. The context is that there's a bunch of fucking lonely masturbators, lonely losers who masturbate, who aren't ready to cuff up, $5. But that being said, I'm not like, for example, I'm not doing much on this channel for reasons that have been extensively discussed. On the other hand, if I was putting out multiple videos, I don't know how often she streams. I don't know if, like $5. Fuck it. Like I have to edit my videos, so it takes more time. So I guess if I was, anyway, I don't know. She kind of has a point if there's a dude, if she puts out content for hours every day and some dude is enjoying it for over an hour a day, then for a month, $5, I don't think it's a fucking crazy amount of money. I'm sorry. Maybe it's some sort of weird creator sort of solidarity or anything. I don't believe I'm owed $5 or anything, but if you're spending all this time looking at this honey and you're really into it. I can only own what I said, and I will. The clip that you saw does not represent my true feelings. I've streamed for hundreds of hours, and I've said, support communities after you support yourself first. Subscribe if you have the disposable income to do so. But in that clip, I expressed opinions that I do not hold at all. I said things that I don't mean, and they were vile. I recognize that. What I said was wrong in any context, but especially in the context of a global pandemic. It was very callous and inappropriate. I know that you've lost jobs. I know that you're afraid for your own security, and I know that what I said was incredibly hurtful and wrong. And I take responsibility for it. I won't try to make excuses, and I won't deny that what I said was awful.
Yeah, she's really pretty. I like these cold eyes and this kind of a Hillary Clinton cadence to this apology. This girl. Let's see, are we going to get any different outfits? I guess not. I don't know.
I want to talk to you. I want to hear your voices. I want to answer the questions that you have. And I want to be able to do it in the most responsible way possible. So I have probably a lot of questions. I would love to answer them for you. They might get lost.
Okay, let's hear a question.
In a constructive way. A lot of people right now want their opinions to be heard. Get angry at my comment.
All right, my friend. So I think that's that. But let's continue with Carl expressing outrage over nothing. Yeah. I mean,
Simp is indeed getting what he pays for, but I mean, at the end of the day, is that necessarily a guarantee of fairness? Just because you're getting what you pay for doesn't mean that you're not being exploited. The ability to serve E-thot with his labor.
I mean, if you're getting what you paid for, that would be the reverse opposite definition of being exploited.
What he's paying for, which is weird, isn't it? You would think that people would have a bit more self-respect from that. But throwing cash at the E-thot has no particular effect on her behavior, other than to continue to incentivize it. The simp will never achieve the goal of a date. And I'm sure that you've seen that there's a huge percentage of the simp audience that seem to be interested in that. I mean, the OK Boomer girl, who gained like 100,000 or 200,000 followers overnight, and then lost half of that as soon as it came out to be revealed that she had a boyfriend, just shows you what a huge percentage of the simp audience is actually interested in. And it's not going to happen.
Yes, it's not going to happen, and they're morons. But what's wrong with these girls providing entertainment? Like, okay, like that fucking boomer girl, whatever the fuck, she just did a dance. But this other girl, you know, kind of sexy psychopath, she really goes on and talks, puts on sexy outfits, and presumably she just sits there and talks for hours. Like, that's a skill outside of her looks. You know, presumably she just kind of sat there. I mean, I'm sure men being what they are, you know, she just sat there, you know, people would watch it still. But, you know, to maintain an audience, you know, these ladies have to keep on talking for hours, and that's fucking difficult. I mean, try it.
Let's be clear about this, simps. I know that you might have these delusions in your mind that maybe you could be the one that she notices and picks out of the crowd and validates and marries, and you can provide for her, and then she won't need to be a thought or whatever it is you dream of. But it's not going to happen. She doesn't care about you. She doesn't know you, because fundamentally, E-thots do not date simps. Simps are the followers of E-thot leaders. Women are hypergamous. They date upwards. Women do not want to date one of their own followers. That's actually what men want. Women.
It's questionable that that's what men want. Seemingly, they just fuck the groupies and move on. The other thing, like being a simp in the kind of maximum way that Carl is describing, is definitely bad. It's not good. It's not going to happen. The other thing that is really bad and will not get you anywhere, I believe, is saying women as a unified concept. Like, once you start thinking about women as something homogenous like that and universal, you know, that's fucking half of humanity. There's a lot of fucking variation there. Even if, and I'm not saying that this is true, 60% of women were purely hypergamous, and that would be their only, you know, ask these 30 ladies who asked, you know, who liked me on OkCupid. If that was the case, there would still be the other fucking 40%. So it's like reducing it to concepts like that. It gives you a sense of mastery and like fancy words, but it actually poisons the well if you're a lonely dude. I feel you kind of look at a woman as some sort of an equation and a partial enemy.
Men do not want to be the provider for an inferior person in the relationship. They want someone to provide for them. And they're exploiting this natural desire in men to provide for women to farm simps on a massive scale. E-thots are to simps as farmers are to cows. The E-thot will milk the cow, but does not care about the cow. They use basic carrot and stick techniques as well. The carrot being the privilege of looking at and possibly being noticed by the E-thot. Even if it's just, oh, thank you, Mark.
You know, this analogy is really moving toward bestiality. If the cow is, you know, likes being noticed.
Really appreciate that. You've saved me from destitution. Aren't you a good white knight? And the stick is in the E-thot saying things like, I'm not doing anything until I get X number of subscribers. I'm sure you've seen plenty of clips of entitled E-thots doing exactly that. Men who do not have self-possession and are instead following their impulses and appetites will be influenced in this way. They will go along with this. Men who do have self-possession and will refrain from following these appetites will not be sucked in by this. Because fundamentally, simping is to dating what masturbation is to sex. It doesn't get you any closer to the
sometimes it's better. It could be better sometimes.
Goal. It does, however, simulate the same feeling of accomplishment. And you will see a lot of simp comments that go like, I donated X, do you want to go on a date? No, they do not want to go on a date. You will never get that date. You will never have sex with that woman. It is a lack of self-control on your part that is being exploited by the attractive woman who realizes she can, from the comfort of her own bedroom, after having done zero in the way of effort, extract money from you, and if you give her that money, then you are a fool. And if you give them that, then you are voluntarily giving not just your manual labor, which you have to perform to get the money that you're giving them, but also the emotional labor, the emotional outreach that is being exploited there. That's something that should be referred to a woman, that should be reserved for a woman who actually loves you in return, not the simulated E-thot relationship you're getting via the internet. She doesn't love you in return. She doesn't care about you in return, even if she simulates as such. Put simply, simps are serfs. Simping is a voluntary form of serfdom, forever doomed to have blue ball for the magic of technology. He did spend his money on her. He did spend his and not respect.
Okay, so the question about being a simp is, what are your expectations and how much money are you spending? People waste their lives in a variety of different ways. I don't want to, insult anybody by listing different forms of entertainment that just make your life go by. And this could be fucking one of them, with a sense of fake intimacy and tenderness. And if, like the young honey there said, like the gorgeous honey said, $5. If all it is like a little slow stroking in the morning with like some pseudo sense of intimacy that isn't there. So it really depends on your IQ. Is this really worse than anything else? I don't think so. I mean, if this goes on for years and years, and if it actually substitutes something else, then that's bad. But I don't know. I just feel like there are so many holes of alienation you could fall into, and this is just one of them. And this one you could crawl out of. But the other thing that he mentioned here before, or actually wanted to pause, is fuck it. I don't want to listen to this asshole. But it really has to do like with the
and therefore that's not an exploitative relationship. The man is providing something, the woman get that payoff within masculinity. For example, the man is supposed to, because there are some men who love to serve women. Infected, it's all an act. But don't be fooled by some of the more clever E-thots. It was perceived by lots of people who are against will. This actually enhances the fantasy for them. Engineers, men who are already in relationships.
Anyway, fuck it. At one point he said this is like a parasocial relationship. And it really kind of pissed me off because, like, you look at YouTube and all of it is fucking parasocial. Like, why do these motherfuckers sit around in their bedroom and they're filming there, as opposed to like having a studio? Even when they have like hundreds of thousands or like millions of subscribers, they're still like sitting there in their living room, like that fucking fraud, fucking Philip DeFranco. Because it creates a false idea of intimacy. It's like you're looking at somebody just chilling out in their bedroom, even if there are like a fucking 100 cuts, like with DeFranco, that looks like he's experiencing like epileptic seizures every couple of seconds. it's so fucking parasocial, all of it. And just because it has to do with politics or some other topic and people giving somebody money like Jordan Peterson, it's still explicitly connected with a kind of an illusion of a personal relationship or everything is like all entertainment is fucking parasocial. That's partly why we remember like the names of different celebrities or whatever. Like all of entertainment, if you're into somebody, is parasocial to one degree or another. And I don't see what the difference is between like these E-thots begging for money and other people selling shitty hats or having overpriced Patreon. Like Philip DeFranco is one of these pieces of shit who, went after this honey after all of this happened, and was talking some shit about her and how cold she was. And meanwhile, this guy who's making like millions, I think he's a millionaire off of ads, still has a Patreon with basically the same content, but without ads. Like, why does he have a Patreon? Because he's a piece of shit. And all of them, I think, are lying piece of shit. All of this is like this whole medium, especially YouTube. What does it have going for it? Like, fucking look at fucking Carl. There's zero what's those zero kind of fucking quality values as far as the background or I forget the exact term. Most of these assholes are completely uninformed. You'd know more by looking at Wikipedia or whatever on every single topic they discuss. Like there's nothing here aside from like this parasocial shit. And these young ladies, they're just the core, there's just the essence of it, where explicitly the sentiment and this tenderness is involved. And it's true, if a dude is dumping a lot of money into this, if he actually believes that she's going to get with him, he is a simp and he needs help. But a lot of these dudes are just slow stroking it in the morning, before they go to their shitty job. So it's not a big deal, dudes. And I don't exploit any like parasocial relationships with my YouTube babies. I always said, the dad shows his love in silent ways, kind of a thing. So I don't really abuse this. So there is another kind of a phenomenon. As we know, we're getting the vaccines that are being rolled out. And a lot of us are worried that they're going to poison us or some shit. I don't even know what the issue is. You're going to die. Your grandpa's going to die. The fucking vaccine. But there are certain people who are taking upon themselves to alleviate our fears. And one of them is our vice president here in the United States, Mike Pence. Now, you might have forgotten that he's still alive, but he is. And so I've noticed a picture of Mike Pence taking this vaccine, and I really found something suspicious. Now, Mike Pence calls his wife mother, which kind of raises different questions about their sex life. But it seems like Mike Pence is capable of gaining enjoyment, perhaps, in different ways. I don't know. So you ask, you tell me what's going on here. Now, so this is a picture, of course, of Mike Pence getting a vaccine. Everything looks very normal. So we're going to zoom in a little bit on Mike Pence here, and then we're going to go down. And I'm just wondering, like, what the fuck is going on here? Like, honestly, I just noticed this. Like, what the fuck is going on here? Like, am I the only one who's seeing this? I saw this is actually from the New York Times. So I saw it from on the New York Times webpage, and then I was looking for memes and stuff like that about this, but I found nothing. I don't know. Am I insane? Am I seeing something that's not there? Because, I mean, normally if there was a fold in the pants, like usually when I associate, like it would be evenly divided. evenly divided across here. But it seems like it's very concentrated here. And we see that all the lines, all the seams, whatever it's called, of the pants are pulled in one direction. They're not kind of distributed over the whole crotch area. They're specifically gathering here. It's almost there's some sort of a catalyst. It's almost there's like something going on here. So I don't I don't know. Am I insane? Am I the only one who's seeing this? Mike, what's going on? What's the safe and effective? I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, maybe I am like seeing something that nobody else is, but it's just very, very weird. It's very strange. And I do have another picture before we're done with this specific investigation from another angle. So here we have the side picture of Mike Pence. Here he is staring into the distance. Here's the doctor, and let's kind of look again. So again, like, what the fuck? Yeah, I don't really know what to say. I don't know what to say. I mean, I'm not an expert in these types of things. I guess you could you could stage an experiment by like putting a dildo into pants, or I guess even you don't have to have a dildo. You can just have a natural erection. It's something that I really I didn't pursue at this time, but maybe in the future. Okay, so I have one of my subscribers who lives in Cuba, and I thought it would be interesting to ask him a few questions about life in Cuba, because naturally there are going to be some, I don't know, myths on the left and the right about what's going on there. So just gonna check those out right now. All right, this is the one I asked. Are Cubans anti-American? So Cubans are not anti-American. Cubans are not anti-anyone. Maybe there are some assholes, but even they will do a friendly handshake to anyone. There's a quote in Cuba saying, "We are a country that gives even if we lack." Now, some right-wingers might take negatively to that quote as far as like involvement in Africa or anything, but I'm not going to be cynical here. And I personally view the United States as the other side of the coin. We complement each other, as the flaws of one are the virtue of the other. And yeah, I would be surprised if Cubans are anti-American, but I think it was worth asking. How do people view Che today? Che is a very special person in my country. People praise him and respect his figure. I don't, because hashtag only Buddha. But of course, with the internet now, some young people started to reject his figure, but a lot of them still find comfort in his image. I want to clarify that the people who follow his figure only know about his virtues as a hardworking man and not and smile but friendly person. Since know that since childhood, because that's what they're taught in schools. Is the Cuban welfare state as good as some leftists in the West presented as? Cuban welfare state is like a mirage on top of the real oasis. I imagine that medicine is very complex, and how the state tries to keep it free is complicated mathematically and economically. So I will talk about education because it's the area that I know the best. Since I was a child, all the school material were handed down by the school to the students. You keep some, like pencils and rulers and paper sheets, and in the end of the course, you return the books. The books are old and outdated, probably printed in the USSR, and the teachers do what they can. Yeah, that's the one thing I have in common with him, being born in communist states. Of course, I'm so old now that I was born in the Soviet Union. I'm going to be more and more exotic as life goes on. The pattern is the same throughout educational life. In my first years of IT, I was learning multimedia with a very old version of a software called Mediator. And because of the embargo, if you wanted to download a new version or ask for an educational license for another software, you wouldn't be able to get it. I must admit that sometimes I feel relaxed about diseases and shit in Cuba because they will be treated and it will be free. Yeah, so he saw a poster about the cost of a treatment that he received 6 or 7 years times in his life, and it was fine. I know this is a huge topic, but I think that education and medicine are not better in this country because of the embargo. The embargo is hitting hard. Don't take my word as definitive stand on this topic. Is Cuba as dictatorial as rightists claim it to be, or is it, as good as leftists claim it to be? This was a question from a subscriber. I must say that I have a very Socratic view of democracy. I think there should be a material in school about how to vote, investigate the candidates and the parties. I don't like people in general, myself included, should have power to vote unless they prove themselves to know about politics, etc. Here they try to implement a solution that doesn't work either. Investigate yourself how it works, but you vote for someone that votes for someone that votes for someone that votes for the president. The candidates are chosen by the party, and they don't do any campaigning because theoretically they are chosen by merit. But then in the end, you don't know shit about how you elect. So basically, the party chooses candidates and they run, and they're voted for without any real competition. And I guess there is a chain of voting that separates the lowest rank of candidates from presidency. So here is an example of his view as passing gay marriage, changing it in the constitution because Cuba is a country full of old people and very religious. So if they vote, he can guess what happens. I must say that my country is full of flaws like you can't imagine, and then try to fix some and want to live with the other flaws, like censorship in only one party. Still, the embargo is without justification. Since 1998 to 2020, all events, movies, games, music, art, technology, etc. are unavailable for my people. Still, we do the impossible to try to reach at piracy. Yeah, I mean, I think that it's embargo is such a load of shit, like basically punishing the people in the name of democracy for them. So then I asked, do you want to leave Cuba? Yes, I am happy living in Cuba. It is my land and my history, even if I don't like the political system, and I don't. So yes, I want to leave to Japan or USA, especially Japan, because I'm learning the language. So yeah, I think that was pretty cool. I kind of wanted to ask more questions about the political system, but I was a little bit, I don't know, uneasy or nervous about asking that stuff. Yeah, I'm not sure Demyanok. I'm really not sure. Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't have like a reference. So now, like, turns out that the city I live in, well, I actually don't live in Cincinnati. I live in the detached kind of suburbs. But it seems like here in the city, you know, a lot of things going on. Like, if you were to guess the number of homicides in Cincinnati, you would need to guess 90 to be correct for this year. 90 homicides for this city. So, you know, maybe you're interested. Like, you only hear about big. Well, this is a relatively large city in Cincinnati, but you know, you really don't hear about places like that or what's going on. It's always New York, Chicago, whatever, LA. You know, so maybe I'll take you on this quick, like, local report about kind of what's happening here, especially like what's happening with the
Peter, thank you so much for joining us here.
Yeah, what's happening with the 90 people who got killed this year.
Tonight at 6 o'clock, I'm Kyle Linsky.
And I'm Megan Mongello. Paula is off. As the pandemic continues, Cincinnati also struggling with what's turned out to be one of the most violent years on record.
Local 12's James Pilcher looks at a somber milestone and what's being done to stop the violence.
2020 is now the deadliest year in Cincinnati.
Check out the fedora. It's like the Cincinnati fedora when you talk about like horrible carnage and death.
History with 90 homicides. Here's a look at the statistics.
Like, it's hard for me to say if he looks good in a fedora or not. Like, in a sense, it distinguishes him from other men who don't wear a fedora. Like, it gives him like a certain vibe, a classy vibe, I guess. But I just don't know. Like, I can't formulate an opinion on this.
Here's a look at the statistics. Those 90 homicides break the previous record of 88 set in 2006. That includes a record number of female victims. There have also been nearly 400 shootings. Cincinnati police recovered 151 guns just last month. That's nearly double the 3-year average for the same period. And police have seized nearly 1,500 guns so far this year. That's up nearly 40% from last year. The gun recoveries come after the city created a gun crime task force.
Like, a lot of rifles, I'm kind of surprised, and I guess semi-automatics. I would think that there would be a lot of regular guns. I mean, this is a dark joke, but maybe this is why they're hitting so many people, because this is what they're using, actually, you know, as opposed to handguns.
Of course. This video of such seized guns was provided by CPD. It was one of several measures taken in the fall after a bloody summer of shootings. Cincinnati Police Chief Elliot Isaac says the violent surge had many causes, including the pandemic.
And we've seen some things that are this year that we don't normally see, you know, just the type of homicides. There are guns everywhere, and many of them are introduced into the community by illegal means.
Isaac says they have closed more than 60% of this year's homicide cases. And this fall, City Council allocated almost $1 million towards fighting the violence. Most of that is for police overtime that Isaac will continue to spend into the spring. Mayor John Cranley says other programs will also help going forward. That includes a part-time prosecutor in the local U.S. Attorney's Office. That effort led to 2 big indictments and arrests this fall.
Whenever the U.S. Attorney working with our police department and the ATF make a big arrest like that, we see crime go down.
Community activist Hope Dudley lost her son to a shooting 13 years ago, a crime that remains unsolved. She says curbing the violence will take more than just putting more police on the street.
What is the community doing? It's up to them to come forward and help solve some of these crimes.
In downtown, James Pilcher, Local 12 News.
And Cincinnati isn't the only city right now fighting this separate epidemic of gun violence. Chicago, for example, saw its murders rise by nearly 40% compared to last year.
Well, good thing there's an even bigger shithole, but I do I do want to say that, of course, this is a horrible tragedy. Like, 90 people have died in a horrible way, and there's like a large number of women who got shot this year for some reason. I don't live in Cincinnati, but I work there, and it sort of makes me uneasy somewhat, I have to confess, because I finish work at like 11:30 p.m. and I go into work and then I leave it, and it's pretty much in a dark place in like a back of an industrial area, so there's not many people around. There is a guard that drives around sometimes, but I don't know, it's not really reliable. So yeah, like somebody sees my car, it's clear that it's not a company car because I'm currently driving my mother's Lexus that still kind of looks nice, even though it's old. And, who knows? So yeah, it's, I'm not like paranoid about it or anything, but I do get like a little bit uneasy. Sometimes a little bit. I do carry a knife, but as you see, the guys are sort of packing heat. But yeah, of course, first and foremost, it's horrible that so many people are getting killed. I'm sure like somebody watching from overseas, these are like the stereotypes about America that everybody's getting popped. And it's just a huge dumpster fire of violence. And I don't know what to tell you, but that just happens some, time to time, just a couple of shootings a week, just like every other day. Now, recently there was an audio leaked of our incoming president, Joe Biden, who stole the election through the most clever conspiracy ever. And it turns out that this leaked audio with some of the activists, we really saw some kind of grumpy Biden on there, a kind of an authentic look at grumpy grandpa. He was taking a nap seemingly, and he got disturbed and really started to act in a kind of a forceful and provocative manner. So let's take a listen here.
In progress.
A lot of people not giving it.
Shit. Sorry about that.
Is even worse than I thought. So first of all, Biden repeatedly and aggressively comments about how much his words alone matter. It's probably the most consistent through line of all of his comments. Just listen to how Biden responds to a questioner's specific concern about a lack of action and progress.
Yeah, literally just think about an angry grandpa. Like literally just think about that.
A lot of people in our community are getting a little anxious because they are not seeing enough of the progress they thought they would have seen at this point. Let's not disappoint them, and let's not get to a place where voters in Georgia begin to second guess.
Okay, let me respond. I've got to go. Let me respond. There's a lot to respond to here. Let's get something straight. You shouldn't be disappointed. What I've done so far is more than anybody else has done this far. Okay? Number one. Number two, I mean what I say when I say it. I mean what I say when I say it. I'm the only person who's ever run on 3 platforms that I was told could not possibly win the election, and I never ceased from it. One was on restoring the soul of this country because of what I saw happen in Charlottesville. That was it. No one else was talking about it.
Like, it's hard to believe that of all the things he could have cited, like, that's the one nobody else was talking about.
The words of presidents matter. Nobody else, no progressive, was talking about it. I did.
So he's asked about progress, and he says, hey, I talked about Charlottesville. Isn't that enough for you people? I mean, in fairness, it is more or less all that he promised on the campaign trail, but you can't really blame people for wanting a little bit more now that Biden is...
And I like H.R. 4.
Anything passed through Congress, basically throwing up his hands and setting expectations at the ground for what he can actually do. Here he is talking specifically about 2 voting rights bills.
I like H.R. 1 and I like H.R. 4. But let me tell you something. We're going to have a hell of a hard time getting that passed through a Republican Senate. So the question is, what can we do in the meantime? I'm going to push him.
hell of a hard time. And he's not wrong, of course. Republicans are not.
Yeah, like, I'm not sure what to criticize him about here. I mean, it's like if he were to nominate a Supreme Court justice, they would just fucking block it anyway. It doesn't mean he doesn't want to push it through. So it's like, he said, I'm going to push him, but it's just not going to go anywhere. So I don't really get like what they're criticizing him on this statement. Like, what is he going to do? There aren't any votes. They're going to just resist it. I mean, they believe he fucking stole the election, or at least pretend to believe it for the sake of their base.
Using his own new powers.
And so there's some things that I'm going to be able to do by executive order. I'm not going to hesitate to do it. But what I'm not going to do is I'm not going to do what Benita, you probably used to get angry with me during the debates, when you'd have some of the people you were supporting said, on day one, I'm going to executive order to do this. Not within the constitutional authority. I am not going to violate the Constitution. Executive authority that my progressive friends talk about is way beyond the bounds. And as one of you said, maybe you, Reverend now, whether it's far left or far right, there is a Constitution. It's our only hope, our only hope. And the way to deal with it is where I have executive authority, I will use it to undo every single damn thing this guy has done by executive authority. But I'm not going to exercise executive authority where it's questioned, where I can come along and say, I can do away with assault weapons. There's no executive authority to do away with that.
So you can all put your arguments about the class dynamics of canceling student debt back in the drawer, because this guy, he's not planning on doing anything, let alone something as big as that. He's not even going to try, and once again punches left the progressives who dared to suggest he might actually have the power to get something done. So with those words, and more importantly, with those intentions, Joe Biden has essentially just flushed his presidency down the toilet. In the country,
I mean, that's a bit of a hyperbole. I mean, he can definitely try it. It's just going to go down the toilet, these proposals. I mean, he can try it and see if that's what she should say. Hey, Joe, you can fucking try it and see where it goes. Let's not get too defeated. But it's an interesting point in American history where the question with the presidency, because the Congress is so divided and they're not going to pass shit, is like, how can I sneak in as much as I can, like some sort of a horny dude or something, I don't know. Anyway, with consent. But it's like, how can I sort of stick my executive authority in every single hole that I can, which is like a weird thing. And some people are more optimistic about this than others. I guess Grandpa is less. But I don't know. I think her kind of a snarky tone is kind of a little bit simplistic, I suppose. Like, especially on that voting rights bills. I mean, he can't just magically pass them. If there is evidence that he's not trying to pass anything, then, we can look at that. All right, man. All right, Dave. Yeah, actually, Mark is who I wanted to address. It's good to hear somebody from Israel. Let's see if I have anything in my shitty outline for the stream. Doesn't look like I do. My friends, I want to say thank you for watching, and hope you have a good time. Don't give up on OkCupid because you were manipulated by some strange experiment to see if you have a fetish for Asian women. If that happens, you just kind of, shake yourself off and just move on in life. If somebody tries to accuse you of having like a fetish toward black women, fuck it. You just, OkCupid should give up badges for that. So you can show that you're not a fetishist, that you view everybody you message as a human being first. So thank you for watching, and have the good rest of your weekend.